Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you for coming to the Inside Scoop with Delaware River Port Authority Chief Engineer Mike Venuto. I'm Jerry Keenan, the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. Before we get started, I do want to say thank you to our sponsors, GPI, a nationally recognized engineering firm that has been working to better our communities by providing high quality engineering and construction services for over 50 years. M&J Engineering, innovative and state-of-the-art solutions. Parsons, our New York, New Jersey professionals work every day to transform the landscape and improve mobility in the region. PSE&G, PSE&G, we make things work for you. Railroad Construction Company, executing high quality construction since 1926. RCC has developed into a full service general contractor offering utility, heavy highway, and building construction while continuing to provide the very service on which we were founded and named for. That's railroad construction and maintenance services. And Van Cleef Engineering Associates, engineering with focus since 1972. Van Cleef delivers responsive, innovative, and cost effective engineering solutions to our valued clients. So, thanks again to all of our sponsors. And I do want to do a special call out today to Cindy Norfleet of Van Cleef Engineering. Cindy is a member of the Alliance for Action Board of Directors, and she's also a co chair of the Inside Scoop Speaker Series. So, thank you so much for being here, Cindy. Thank you for your support. And also, of course, thank you for your friendship. Now, although we're only in the first week of March, this is already the sixth Alliance for Action program for 2022. We also have two more major programs to follow during the balance of the month. Our Inside Scoop series will continue on March 22nd with the president of New Jersey American Water Company, Mark McDonough. That program will be the last virtual event before we begin hosting in-person meetings again. And I think we're all very looking forward to that. And that is on a March 30th when we return to in-person. We'll be at Forsgate Country Club in Monroe for our major infrastructure conference called the Federal Infrastructure Act, What It Means for New Jersey. We're going to hear from key figures in our state government who are leading the disbursement of $13 billion in federal infrastructure dollars coming from the Federal Infrastructure Act. Those speakers include Transportation Commissioner Diane Gutierrez-Scaghetti, DEP Commissioner Sean LaTourette, BPU President Joe Fiordaliso, and New Jersey Transit Senior Vice President of Capital Programs Eric DeLeo. Following their remarks, we'll also hear from a panel of infrastructure leaders giving their observations on how New Jersey can best utilize these monies, the volume of which will be truly unprecedented. Those speakers include representatives of Pekar and Abramson, Marsh, the Associated Construction Contractors of New Jersey, the Utility and Transportation Contractors Association of New Jersey, the American Consulting Engineer Council of New Jersey, and New Jersey LESIT. It's going to be an incredible program. I hope you can join us. So now to the program at hand. Our speaker this morning is Mike Venuto, the chief engineer of the Delaware River Port Authority. And before I introduce Dale to do the introduction, I just want to remind you that after Mike's presentation, he'll be staying with us and he'll be ready to answer all of your questions. So if you have a question, just keep it in mind. And then when he's finished, we'll bring you up onto the stage and you can ask Mike your question personally and directly to him. So here to introduce Mike is one of the Alliance for Action's great members, Dale Errico, the Vice President of Business Development of Railroad Construction Company, based in our right next to my whole old hometown. He's their offices in Patterson. So Dale Errico, if I could ask you to please turn on your camera and your microphone, we will introduce you and welcome you to the stage. Dale, I don't know why I blew your name there for a second.
Florio. Whoa.
I gave you Dale Florio, who we all know, but you're the one and only Dale Errico. Dale, it's terrific to see you here again today, and we're looking forward to hearing from you as you give a great introduction to our featured speaker today. Thanks so much.
Very good. Thank you very much, Jerry. It's an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to be with you today and with the team here to discuss about our guest speaker, which we're very enthused and can't wait to hear from him with all his great ideas and futures in the industry and everything. So I've got the great pleasure of introducing our today's speaker. You know, he's obviously a pivotal point at the Delaware Port Authority, you know, for our regional transportation infrastructure, you know, connecting, you know, New Jersey to Pennsylvania. And for the last 22 years, Mike Venuto has dedicated his career, you know, to serve, you know, DRPA. Now, before he stepped into the current position of DRPA's chief engineer, you know, Mike obtained his BS in civil engineering from Rutgers University, an MBA from Lehigh University, and a BS in surveying engineering technology from NJIT. Now, in addition to his decorated educational background, you know, Mike is a New Jersey you know, licensed professional engineer, you know, professional land surveyor in the state of New Jersey. You know, he's a member of the New Jersey Society of Professional Land Surveyors and an American Society of Civil Engineers and the Engineering Club of Philadelphia. Now, as a chief engineer, Mike oversees approximately $850 million of capital programming, which I think will be drastically increased, not to give any answers, you know, coming up in the near future. Now, you know, he's, you know, overseeing DRPA and PACO's assets, you know, that are maintained, improved, protected, and benefit for the citizens that, you know, that they serve. Now, these assets consist of, you know, the Betsy Ross, the Ben Franklin, the Walt Whitman, the Commodore Barry Bridge, and PACO all fall underneath Mike and his team's responsibility. Now, he's recognized, just so everybody knows, as an American Society of Civil Engineers with a Distinguished Engineering Award and recipient of Outstanding Services to the Community Award by the Engineers Club of Philadelphia. Now, Mike's proven time and time again why he has been recognized and acknowledged in these industry honors. Now, when he asked to make this introduction, you know, I wanted to, you know, look into a few things to, you know, who is Mike Venuto? So take a breath, Mike. It's okay. What I found out, there are 27 Mike Venutos in the United States. Okay, they range from a CEO of a billion-dollar hedge fund company to a social media sensation. And these 27 Venutos live anywhere from California to the bundled up into Minnesota, sweating it down to Texas, but they're also right here in New Jersey. So I really researched them, Zoom conference with them, but I found out that we have the right Mike Venuto managing the right authority and overseeing over $1 billion of future capital spending. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have the right Mike Venuto.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dale. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate all the research. Amazing what comes up in Google, I guess, these days. Thanks for the great introduction, Dale. Again, good morning, everyone. Obviously, happy to have the opportunity to speak here today to the New Jersey Alliance for Action and this great group. You know, thank you for everyone who kind of was on at 8 o'clock this morning, and we were able to get those conversations at the tables. I find that so valuable to interact one-on-one in those small one-on-one and in those small groups to really talk about some of the things we're doing here and how we can all work together. Specifically, I want to thank Jerry, Chris, Lynn for the opportunity to be part of New Jersey Alliance. I appreciate your partnership throughout the years and your continued recognition of the Delaware River Port Authority and the projects that we do. So thank you. So I'll just the next slide, Chris. So I'll just talk a little bit about, Dale did a great job of talking about our assets and what we own and the projects that we do, or the projects we do on those facilities. So I won't go into that, but I really, it's been important to us to talk really about the mission and vision of the organization. And I won't read through them, but just to know about, our mission as stewards of public assets, right? So we of course, operate, maintain, improve, and protect transportation infrastructure, as Dale pointed out. But the underlying fact of that is our focus on stewardship, community, and service, right? Knowing that these assets have to last forever, and that's how we treat them. And we want to leave them in a better position and a better condition than when we receive them, right? For future generations. to utilize. So that's what drives us here at the DRPA. And we've done many things to reinforce this within our organization. Anything from your different team building events. We pre-COVID we were doing, even through some from the COVID, we introduced improv techniques and how those things can enhance our business relationships and breaking down silos and things like that. So we've been in the forefront of some of these leadership techniques that have helped us, right? And what we found that when you form cohesive groups in good times, when you do those type of things and break down silos and build relationships in good times, those are the things that help you weather the challenges in hard times, right? So the things we did pre-COVID helped us manage to do our biggest capital projects or biggest capital program ever through COVID. So in 2020, we spent over $200 million in projects, right? And we were able to do that working remotely because of all the things that we put in place prior to that, right? And because of all the partnerships that we've built with consultants and contractors and construction monitors to be able to get this work done. We're very proud of that, right? And to be able to do that, over 200 million in 2020, 185 million in 2021. So we're at a very aggressive time here in our organization. So just quickly, where have we been? PACO, we were close at PACO. We were close to record ridership pre-COVID. So we were about at records on weekends. We were just approaching records during the weekday, approaching weekday ridership, maybe approaching 40,000 riders a day. And then, of course, right when COVID hit, we went down to 7% of where we were for PACO ridership. We got back up to close to 50% at the end of last year. And then January, when Omicron hit and we had some bad weather, some snow and things like that, we dropped a bit, but we're back approaching upper 40s at this point with PACO ridership. Now, we did receive some CARES Act money and some subsequent money to offset some of that PACO operation. And we're still working off some of that. So that was a very positive for us from the federal government, helping out with the PACO ridership revenues. Bridge revenue, we're doing very well, obviously, pre-COVID. And then right that time, we dropped down to about 30% of where we were. And now we are back up. We quickly got back up to about 80 towards the end of 2020, 80% of total revenue, not necessarily traffic, but of total revenue. And we're back up about 90% right now. So we are seeing traffic come back, but we've pretty much hit that cap of about 90%. We're starting to see the average toll come down, which means that we're starting to see some of the commuter traffic return. But we're coming out of COVID just like everybody else, but we're coming out of it shifting some of our priorities, right? Like I'm sure many of you have. We are focusing on priority projects and making sure that we're doing all the important projects as we are coming to have the bridges safe, secure, and serviceable, while making sure we're managing our fiscal responsibility with the amount of funding that we have, which I'll talk about in the budget slide just a minute or two. We are, as an organization, back to work, back in the office. We're back in the office 4 days a week, and we'll be back a fifth day as first week of April. All right. So we'll go to the next slide, Chris. I'll just say, so as you have questions, like Jerry said, we'll hang on live here and do questions. I think the networking room is open afterwards. But if anybody has any questions that they throw up, I'm happy to stop at any time and answer any of those specifically on the topic that I'm talking about. So the capital budget, this is a slide I always like to share with everyone of where we are. We budget, as many of you know, year to year, but we have that 5-year outlook. And we are at the end of a funding cycle. So talking in one of the breakout rooms about toll increases and things like that. So we're at the end of our funding cycle. We haven't raised tolls in I think over 10 years. We have delayed. We have cost of CPI index, toll increases linked to CPI index that our board has elected to postpone year over year that we could have enacted. So we're still being as fiscally responsible to be able to keep tolls where they are and still be able to do the work. Right, we are working on a pay-go system right now where we're paying from our toll revenue and our general fund to fund the capital program. We, as you can see, 2022, we have about $143 million in capital projects planned. And again, this is really, we've sat and focused for 2022 and 2023 on just priority projects. Those projects, we had a very strict criteria. We don't want to let anything go as far as safety and security and serviceability, but we want to make sure that we're being as fiscally responsible as we can. The 5-year plan has been trimmed to about $739 million, realizing at some point in the future, 23, 4, 5, we will need we will need some revenue enhancement at some point. But we're balancing our work with our finances to make sure we keep the assets in a state of good repair, as someone specifically said, in one of the table discussions this morning. So again, we're focused on priority projects, spending wisely, and increasing our aggressiveness, I'd say, to get grants. Like, we're out there. We have more grant money this year. We typically are in the range of about $15 million. And for 2022, we have about $27 million of grant money. And we're actively pursuing grant money for as many of the projects as we can. So we've been, ramping up our application process too, to make sure that we are, in the best position. Our projects are in the best position to receive whatever funding we can. So I won't spend a lot of time on it, but for our design and for our professional services, we do statement of qualifications, RFP process. There's a qualifications-based selection. For construction, everything is throughout competitive bid situation. We are always looking for partners on our projects. We want people. We need firms that are interested in our projects. And suffice to say, this may not just for billing purposes and invoice purposes, but we need long-term relationships. We need people who want to know our facilities, get to know everything about them, get to know our people, and be an extension of our mission, our vision that you saw there, our values and behaviors that we hold important. Right? So we need those strategic partners to help us do. We can't do this type of work. As Dale talked about the $1 billion capital program, it was just a few years ago where we had a $1 billion 5-year plan, and we're doing, we're working off some of that, but we had record years the past couple of years, and the only way we do that is the strategic partners that we form, right, with all of you. So that's why I like the opportunity to be able to interact and talk with everybody. But we want people and firms who have a vested interest in our projects and want to work on them long term, right? Okay, next slide, Chris. So there's a couple of projects that are upcoming. Originally in the presentation, I had some of the cool stuff. There were some of the bigger complex projects that we've done over the past couple of years, but I decided to replace it with stuff that's upcoming because that's what everybody wants to know. So we, through COVID, finished a number of designs. So we have a bunch of them sitting on the shelf. So we have very few designs coming out. We have the Ben Franklin Bridge Fender and Pier Rehab, as well as the 4th Street Vehicular Underpass. We have a number of construction monitoring projects coming out. Some will be through that SOQ RFP process. Some may be through our GEC process. All right, Chris, next slide. And then we have a number of construction projects that are going to be coming out over the next, we'll say, 3 to 12 months, right? So I won't go through all of them, but all the I'll make sure that the capital budget, I believe the capital budget is on the website, but in one of the discussions earlier today, the tables, we think we might still have the 2021 link up there, but I'll get that corrected to make sure that the 2022 budget is there. And all of these projects will be coming out to bid over the next probably 3 to 12 months. All right, next slide, Chris. So I'll talk about 2 specific ones that I think are pretty interesting upcoming here. The Center Tower, Patco Center Tower relocation. So this is a project that's going to be a new control center at the Lindenwold Yard. So we currently have our center tower at a different part of the line. So we're going to have a new building that will house not only the management and administrative offices, as well as the control center. And this project will be bid probably later the second quarter of 2022. You can go to the next slide. We have a couple different renderings I figured I'd share. So a project we've been working on for many years to relocate Center Tower, and we're complete the design, and we're going to be ready to put this out here shortly. Next slide, Chris. And then a project that's been getting a lot of public attention over the last year or so is the Glassboro-Camden line. You see, we talk about it as a vital transportation link. The Glassboro-Camden line has been a project that's been around for many, many years, and we started with a feasibility analysis to an alternative, feasibility analysis to alternative analysis to an environmental impact statement, and ultimately we completed that EIS in February of 2021 after many years. And we were transitioning now into the preliminary engineering and program management phase. We are in the SOQ RFP process. We're going to be out with our RFP to the shortlisted firms here any day now. And basically, this Glassboro-Camden line, where it says vital link, but it really is an extension of the South Jersey region, right? We're going to provide connectivity, right? Because that's what we say we do at the DRPA. We connect people, and we're going to expand that Philadelphia region, that market there in the Gloucester County. So when you're connecting the area in Glassboro around Rowan University to here in Camden, where people can then transfer to PACO or the River Line and really expand the network availability of the mobility of many people, right? So it's predominantly going to be, it'll start out in Glassboro, but it predominantly will be on the Conrail right away through multiple towns, leading here into Camden, and eventually in Gloucester City, it'll get off the Conrail right away, make its way into Camden here at the Walter Rand Transportation Center, where of course you can have many of the connections, particularly to PACO going into Center City. This is a big project that will transform our transportation network, our public transportation network here in South Jersey. We're really excited to move forward with this project. But I will tell you, the support from all of you is vitally important to this project. We're going to be out there in public outreach shortly, and as we start this preliminary engineering, and it is important that we all, that those that believe that this project will be the transformative nature that we think it'll be, to be out there, with the support of it. I know Dale himself. We had lots of public meetings in 2021 through Zoom, of course, and I know Dale himself has been an advocate for this and has been a full supporter and has come out to our public meetings for that. All right, next slide. So again, I figured I'd throw some renderings of it. We have it through the EIS. We've had a conceptual design of stations and track layout. So at times it'll be a dedicated track, at times it'll be a shared track, at times we have run around to be able to operate where Conrail can be able to operate on their own track while we can still operate the GCL. So a lot of thought is going into making everyone successful along that right away, where we can both continue, where the GCL can function, where Conrail continue to grow and expand their operations with no impact from the Glassboro-Camden line. Next slide, please. So I know we really focus on projects that are upcoming, but I wanted to share two particular projects. We did a number of complex projects over the last 2 years, but these two projects specifically were recognized by the Alliance for Action as a leading construction project. And I just wanted to share this. Ben Franklin Bridge Suspension Span project is a combination of 5 large projects that we combined into one mega project. The construction bid was $194 million. We've been out there since February of 2020, and we're moving through this project. When we're doing some great innovative things here, replacing the biggest of which we just replaced the links, and we put temporary supports, replaced the main links, and we're able to reload those all while keeping traffic moving, right, and keeping PACO operational, as well as keeping our traffic moving across the bridge. Next slide. Just another couple shots of that. We can go to the next slide. And then the other project I wanted to point out was the Walton Bridge corridor rehabilitation on the PA side. We did the entire corridor from the toll plaza out to Passyunk Avenue. It was, I believe, a $67 million construction bid project. And we did everything from change out gantries, replace gantries on the bridge itself. We replaced all the sign structures along along 76, repaved, we did lighting, we changed the geometry of ramps, significant amount of work. We finished over 5 months ahead of schedule, somewhat benefited by COVID, right? With less traffic, we were able to get out there and do some things. But we had a great partnership with the designer, the construction manager, and the contractor. All of who are on here present today, and I appreciate the support. But we it was a very successful project, and we again recognized Reese just this past Friday from the New Jersey Alliance for our work on this project. Next slide. We can go, yeah, Chris. We'll just go right to the last. Chris limited my time here today, and then with all the research that Dale did for the introduction, he took most of my time, so I have to cut through some of these slides here. So I just want to kind of finish up with some of with this part of it here, or with it as I end here, is this group, right? The New Jersey Alliance for Action is a unique group, right? Where you're combining contractors, labor groups, engineers, all in one spot. And some of the other groups I talked to don't have quite the mix of folks. So I love being around this group because you all are professionals, right, with superior knowledge and superior skill set in your respective crafts, right? And I know I have to come here being prepared. A lesson I've learned at the group tables I was at, where there was already a significant number of questions. So I know I have to challenge myself to be prepared to come talk to this group. And I enjoy that, right? I enjoy that part of the interaction with all of you. But our profession, right, is going to be counted on. One of the things, a number of things we talked about at those early on tables was about the possibility of infrastructure money and finding staff and people, right? But our profession is going to be counted on in the coming years, right? And one of the things that I like to share with people is that our work has value beyond what we get paid. Right? At least I feel that way, right? That's how I ended up here in the public sector. That our work has value beyond what we get paid, right? For the people that we serve. But that comes with certain responsibilities, right? Embracing our roles as professionals, making sure that we're still doing, despite all the challenges, right? Still doing quality work, still putting forth all the effort, still being innovative in our designs and our construction techniques. So the infrastructure bill itself, what does it mean to the DRPA? We're not exactly sure just yet, right? I mentioned that we're going to be aggressive in the grant money. We're putting ourselves in positions, and as these grants come out, we'll figure out what aligns with the projects that we're doing, and we're getting prepared for that. Quite honestly, the same way we did for Franklin Square, right? We were in a position where we weren't successful with other iterations of like Tiger grants and things, but ultimately we went to go on to be successful with the build grant. But the people in this room, we're going to be able to solve those infrastructure problems. And I know we have our challenges, right, with the supply chain issues on the construction side, getting people, hiring people, things like that. But the pride that we all take in our work, right, our commitment to quality, whether it's in engineering designs, construction monitoring, and construction, is what's going to carry us forward, right? And that is what we at the DRPA are counting on, right? It's what I'm counting on in my partnerships with all of you. We're not a very large entity compared to lots of the other DOTs out there, but we need and want you to be part of our organization, right? But we also need and want quality work. I show this picture to show, unfortunately, this is some of the things that we're starting to see, out in the field, when we're not seeing that dedication and quality out there. But there's going to be so many opportunities here coming up with the enhanced infrastructure funding for our organization and a number of other organizations, right? But it's going to be an opportunity for all of us, right? All of you to work with us as owners and show all of your capabilities. So, and I showed this slide here because it just was indicative of some of the things we have seen over the past year or past 2 years, I'd say. But I will tell you that others here in our group sent me slides of contours, from the design side, right? Contours crossing each other, arrows pointing to nothing on drawings and things like that. So that commitment to quality is something I think we all need to focus on as more money comes into and as the workload picks up for our profession. And the thing I'll end with here is, we need to invest in our future, right?
the facilities here, our facilities, as I started with saying, have to last forever, and we continue to keep investing in those. And
we need you all to be part of that. But the other thing we need to invest in is people, right? In the next generation of engineers and leaders, right? We're not going to be here, forever. So I know it's tough getting people, but the part of developing people is very important. And we need all of us here in this room need to be able to show our leadership and be able to transfer that to the next generation who are going to be behind us, right? So mentoring the next generation of engineers, of contractors, and again, not to go back to some of the table discussions, but somebody was talking about how they're getting surveyors right out to the field, right, to get that field experience and then continue to get people in that profession. And I'll end with that. As I talk about the mentorship, I was on WTS had a leadership seminar last year at some point, and it was a Navy woman officer who gave a great presentation about her role and her growth and to the ranks through the Navy and the challenges that she overcame. But one of the things that stuck with me the best was about how we lead people and how we motivate and grow and cultivate the next generation. And she said, at some point you have to plant a tree that you may never climb. So you have to plant a tree that you may never climb, right? That someone else can enjoy the fruits of the tree or the shade that it provides. I think, as we all move on in our careers, we got to think about that, because, the infrastructure is going to need to be a continual improvements for many years to come. So with that, I'll end here. Thank you very much again for the opportunity to be here and talk today.
Well, Mike, thanks so much for being here. And you're absolutely right when you talk about infrastructure. It's not just an investment that you make today and then it's over. It's something that is going to last for years and years. And I always think about, what would happen if years ago they didn't build the Ben Franklin Bridge or the Walt Whitman Bridge and make that investment that would go ahead for years and years and years into the future and make our lives better. What would happen if we didn't have that? And the leaders back then didn't take those steps. So you're right on the mark there. Boy, lots of very interesting things you talked about. You got about a $740 million 5-year capital program going through 2026. Some of your major upcoming construction projects include obviously the GCL, which I do want to speak about more, and the Paco Tower relocation. Also want to talk about the need for new dollars. But we do have a question. If we could bring up Jorge Estevez from Parsons. Jorge does have a question for you. So Jorge, if I could ask you to please turn on your camera and microphone, we can bring you right up here onto the virtual stage and you can speak with Mike yourself. Oh, Chris Hartman is here. Oh, Chris.
Yes, I'm not, I'm sorry. I apologize. It's a downgrade. I know it's a step down. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get him up on stage. I should be able for most folks, but there seems to be a little bit of an issue, so I can't bring him on.
Okay, well then I'll ask a question. Basically, Mike, his question was about the GCL. He's wondering if the DRPA has issued a release date for the RFP yet.
So the selection for the preliminary engineer was done in that 2-phase process I talked about, the SOQ RFP phase. So we did advertise for the statement of or request for qualifications in the fourth quarter of last year, late third quarter, fourth quarter last year. Statements of qualifications were due December 16th. So we went ahead and reviewed and ranked those, and we are ready to release the short list of firms who will get the request for proposal. Will be out imminently, be out very shortly. I actually anticipate it being out this week.
Well, that's fantastic news. That obviously is a tremendous project, something that is going to open up the whole South Jersey region and make it so much easier for people. I'm talking about commuters, students, and everyone to get back and forth across the region. It's obviously desperately needed, and we're looking forward to seeing that happen. Let's move on now to Jeff Malaccio. Jeff is with JPC Group. Jeff, if I could ask you to please turn on your your camera and your microphone. We'll bring you right up to the stage, and you can speak directly with Mike Venuto. So Jeff Malaccio from JPC Group.
Mike, I just
Jeff, nice to see you.
Good to see you as well. Mike, I just had a quick question about whether or not DRPA is pursuing more and more alternative delivery, perhaps design build, CM at risk, CMJC type type construction contracts.
Yep. So yeah, excellent question. Thanks, Jeff. And I'll say in front of everyone, thank you for your work you did on the Walt Whitman Bridge. So Jeff led the project that I shared on the Walt Whitman Bridge corridor. Jeff led that project from JPC and played a key role in getting us done 5 months ahead of schedule. So I'll say thanks to that first. So the second question, the question about pursuing alternative delivery procurement. So we don't have any plans right now, right? I think a line like the Glassboro Camden line lends itself for a design, build, operate, maintain type thing. But on our normal projects, we very rarely use design build. We've done it on some of our vehicle maintenance buildings, those type of things, but we haven't done it all that often. And it's kind of it makes it a little bit different and a little bit difficult in a governmental agency to sort of switch gears into that type of alternative procurement. But I will say, though we don't have anything on the horizon right now, I do personally think that it's something that everyone's going to have to consider as we move forward with the challenging projects and challenging financial situation we will be in as we move forward. I do think that everyone's going to have to consider new innovative ways of doing projects.
Well, thanks a lot, Jeff. Thank you for your time. Thanks for being here. And again, congratulations on the work that you're doing for the DRPA. If you do have a question for Mike, put it in the chat or put it in the Q&A section, and we'll bring you up onto the stage. And Mike will be happy to answer the questions as well as he can. Mike, I do have a question. You know, you talked about you have basically a $740 million capital plan, 5 years through 2026. But you also mentioned that the last time you did a toll increase, I think was 10 years or so ago. When is that money going to run out? And is this 5-year plan funded, or what is the situation with dollars, and what is the situation with the possible toll enhancement?
Yeah, so excellent questions. So a couple of things on that. So number one, I'll say I've pre getting on here, I asked about the capital budget, and unfortunately, finance has not updated the website to put our 2021 budget where we typically have it in a PDF. But I just put the link in the chat. So if anybody wants the 2022 budget, the link is in the chat, because when we present it with our summary statement resolution, it's an attachment to that, so you can pull it off there. But surely the website will be updated. So I appreciate someone pointing that out to me. Secondly, the question is about a toll increase. Yes, we have not done a toll increase in many years. We have approved by our board CPI cost increase, toll increases that this board has postponed for many years, and we didn't have to enact them because we were being fiscally responsible to be able to still maintain and operate the facilities without needing that toll increase. So the plan itself, the next 2 years does not include the 23-24 cycle. Does not 22 and 23 does not assume a toll increase. We know that at some point we are at the end of a funding cycle. There's no other way to put it, and we will need a revenue enhancement at some point in that 5-year program. It could be the next opportunity for the CPI index would be January 1st, 2023, because the board postponed it for 1 year. If not, it could be January 1st, 2024, and that would be that CPI index. But the other part of your question is, when does the money run out? Our capital fund did run out at the end of 2021. So we are on a pay-go fund right now. We're utilizing money from the toll revenue and our general fund to fund the capital program.
So it's already been approved, the CPI increases, although, like you said, because of a number of great management techniques, you not had to increase the toll through the CPI function. But if in fact the DRPA goes through and tries to raise tolls, is this something that has already been approved? You're only going to be looking for a CPI increase, or would there be some more legislation needed?
No, the CPI increase has been approved by the board, and then each each year they take an affirmative action to delay that. So we would not, it already has been board approved.
That's terrific. That's terrific. If you have a question for Mike, please put it in the chat or on the Q&A section of our program, and we'll bring you up onto the stage. You talked a little bit about the GCL and the fact that there were hearings. I spoke at a few of those hearings, and the Alliance for Action is very, very much in support of seeing that GCL move forward. So again, if there's anything that we can do here to help that process move forward, Mike, let us know about it. I think that the area is so underserved in South Jersey, and in fact, if this GCL, when in fact it does go up and running, it'll be such a tremendous boon for not only businesses in the area, but I think it'll attract new people to the area and new additional business. Is there has there been a study been done? And if so, what does it show as far as the economic generators and the stimulus that the GCL will provide for the region?
Yeah, so I would say we have done studies in the past as we went through each of the other phases for the GCL line. So there will be economic benefits to the towns that we go through. The reality of it is not everybody agrees, right? You can never get everyone to agree that the benefits versus the trade-offs, and will those things come to fruition? But we have looked at it, and I will say we're going to look at it again. As I've said earlier, we've been at this project for many, many years now, and when we get into this preliminary engineering stage, we'll be re-looking at lots of all the data associated with that, right? The growth in Gloucester County, the ridership models will refresh again, and then we'll be out again to talk in public. But we believe that this will be a well-utilized line and provide increased mobility for those all along that corridor. And Rowan is growing in leaps and bounds, and this will provide lots of other another mode of transportation to people to get to Rome without having to be in their cars to drive there. So we think aside from that, and then the increased ridership, and then the mobility it provides for all of those people in the economic along the line, the economic development for each of those towns, and then the ability for people who to get along without a vehicle or may not have access to a vehicle to now access the entire Philadelphia region.
Well, it's a project that is desperately needed. We're looking forward to seeing it happen. So again, count on us to help. And if there's something that needs to be done, we'll be able and be there ready to help you. I want to say thank you, Mike. Thank you for being here today. It's always been a pleasure working with you, and we're looking forward to continue to do that. I want to thank everyone here today for joining us and for your interest in what's happening at the Delaware River Port Authority. It truly is an economic generator for not only the South Jersey and Philadelphia region, but for the entire state of New Jersey. So we're looking forward to bigger and better things happening there. Thank you so much for joining us. And please join us for our next Inside Scoop meeting with Mark McDonough, the president of New Jersey American Water Company. That'll be, as I said earlier in the program, that'll be held on March 22nd. If you haven't registered for our infrastructure conference on March 30th, please do so soon. Seats are going fast for that event and will be indeed held live at Forest Gate Country Club in Monroe. Before we go, let me say one more time thank you to our sponsors, GPI, a nationally recognized engineering firm that has been working to better our communities by providing high-quality engineering and construction services for over 50 years. M&J Engineering, innovative and state-of-the-art solutions. Parsons, our New York, New Jersey professionals work every day to transform the landscape and improve mobility in the region. PSE&G, we make things work for you. Railroad Construction Company, executing high-quality construction since 1926. RCC has developed into a full-service general contractor offering utility, heavy highway, and building construction while continuing to provide the very service on which we were founded and named for, railroad construction and maintenance services. And Van Cleef Engineering Associates, engineering with focus. Since 1972, Van Cleef delivers responsive, innovative, and cost-effective engineering solutions to our valued clients. I want to also thank Team Alliance and their efforts for making this meeting possible. Of course, I'm talking about Chris Hartman and Bill Healy and Athena Casenos and Penny Grasso and Lynn Swalje, all terrific partners in making the Alliance team move forward nice and smoothly. So thank you for all your help. I want to say again, thank you for joining us. I'm Jerry Keenan, the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. We're looking forward to seeing you again. And the networking room will remain open if you still would like to speak with some people and make more connections. Have a great day.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Mike.